Hi, this is Mike Messier with the Avalonia Photography Competition. We're an offshoot photography competition from the original Avalonia Festival of Short Films and the follow-up Avalonia 7 Theater Festival. Today I'm with Austin Sane, and Austin has just entered a couple of submissions that I really got a kick out of, and I thought just kind of encourage other people to enter this photography competition. We'd really just start this thing going strong with an interview with an artist that I found his work to be really terribly interesting. Austin, why don't you tell us where you're from and how you're doing today, buddy?
Hi, my name is Austin Sane. Yeah, I'm from Aledo, Illinois right now, and I'm feeling pretty good. It's pretty not too sunny. It's been pretty intensely hot lately, and now it's just kind of mellow. So I'm enjoying the day so far.
Well, I'm glad you're here, man. And you had two entries, and one of them really did kind of horrify me. It was in the horror category, and it was these clowns, man. Tell me about the clown photography, and I'll put them on the website so people can look at them while you're talking about your clowns and who the clown model was and all types of stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I was doing a Halloween art gallery for at the end of my senior year in college, just like last semester or 2 semesters ago. Um, and I had all this whole box of Halloween costumes and all this stuff because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then my model canceled, so my friend Zach Clarda, he he filled in. It was cool. Like we just threw stuff on him, see what worked, and we really liked what the clowns was, how the clowns were looking. So we put them in different outfits, and one of them had the crown on, and one with the crown on is Crackles the clown, and he's my favorite out of all of them. I don't know if it's just the way he looks or the blue in the background because blue is my favorite color. But it's just really cool. It just worked out really well. I thought it would be cool to have like a horror look to it, but also kind of not cheesy, but like bubbly. You know, had colorful kind of glamour shots, and so I thought that was kind of funny too. But yeah, bring in the clowns. I didn't really have a title for it until they asked me. But yeah, those clown photos. Yeah, they're my favorite.
What amazes me about your story, man, is that giving credit to your friend, I said his name was Zach, for his performance, for lack of a better word, as this clown, because he looks, not to say comfortable, but he looks like he knows what he's doing. Like he doesn't look
Yes.
like just a guy who's putting on an outfit for some photos. Like it looks like he's very comfortable in that horror position, and he's pulling off the creepiness in that Crackles one, especially with the crown, like you said. And I just noticed that there are basically three different clowns in that photography essay. And having seen Stephen King's It movies, the first one especially was really good. The second one not so good as far as part two. But um, I guess I have a low key fear of clowns now that I don't think I was born with. I think Stephen King and now yourself have given it to me. So thanks a lot.
Nice.
And your other photography essay, which I also dug, and I told you that I thought it was coming out of New York City for some reason because it's kind of it's a I guess we call it a quarantine madness, and it's you entered it into a couple of categories: the black and white, the COVID, surrealism, and fisheye. But I mean, it really gave me the feeling of like this New York City artist that I thought you were in New York City or something because you've got yourself in this kind of model mannequin, and kind of I guess the idea that I got at least was the loneliness of this COVID situation can drive regular people into insane searches for company and maybe we were headed there as a society anyway with all the internet dating and robotic, manipulations of sexual energy. But what were some of your inspirations or your thought process going into that photographic journey that is the quarantine madness?
Well, yeah, I like what you said because that's pretty kind of spot on. I always liked the going mad um, idea, and when I took it, like the first photo I took was the dinner date one where he's at the dinner table, and I didn't really have a model in mind, and I just wanted to shoot it. So when that normally happens, I normally jump in and fill in. Um, but yeah, like I kind of feel like looking back on it now, like an opening to kind of like a New York movie, or like a French movie. I can see like the black and white sitting at the dinner table, smoking a cigarette. Um, because in a lot of the French movies I've seen, there's always some dude at a table in either like a tank top and smoking a cigarette. But the second one I took was I believe the pillow talk is what it was called. It was in the one in the bed, um, and like the idea I had for that is I just like how much that fisheye showed, and I feel like I can tell a story in the background just as much as what we're supposed to be looking at. Because like in the first photo, dinner date, if you look in the background, you can see a whole bunch of other stuff, and with how wide my room was, and um, how wide my room was, and I really like that Salvador Dali painting in the background, and kind of like in the center of the painting or in the photo. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just every time I took a photo, I tried capturing something that is intimate to someone, if that was real, besides the mannequin, like a dinner date, sitting at dinner, having hanging out with somebody. When they're in the bathroom, that's more of a more intimate place than the bedroom sometimes, and then of course the bedroom uh, after after sex or whatever was going on in in that photo. But yeah, man, yeah, I'm glad that you liked it.
Yeah, I dug it a lot, because it for me it felt like a reflection of the COVID era. But like I said, even the last 10 or 15 years before COVID, I think people have gotten more and more isolated from each other.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Because like a lot of people, uh, the more they're alone, I feel like the more they realize they like it, and they don't want to go out and do all that other stuff. Because a lot of people, I never really knew like introvert, extrovert until like a few years ago, and it makes a lot of sense too. Because sometimes there's people that they just want to hang out and have the world come to them, and then the extroverts are just like, I want to go see the world. And for me, I feel like I'm like both. There's some times where I'm like, I just don't, I just want to be alone for months on end, and then I got to go out and see new things, hang out with people. Um, but yeah, I agree with that, because I feel like with this COVID thing, especially, a lot of people are lonely, and they could start doing crazy things just for companionship.
I guess what comes to my mind, you know, when I was talking to you before we went on the air here, and I probably made the mistake that a million people make. I confused, Illinois with one of your neighboring states there, Iowa. And I guess, kind of like I just was in Rhode Island for a long time. And people always confuse Rhode Island with Long Island, New York, which is it's many hours away, and Long Island is not a state. Rhode Island is a state. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I apologize for all the Illinois and Iowa people out there. But I guess my question is really just kind of a broad question. But first off, have you lived in Illinois your whole life, Austin, or are you new there, or how long you been
Uh,
there?
yeah, I lived here my whole life. I was born in South Dakota, though. I like that because normally everyone here is from Illinois, so it's kind of makes me feel like have a little edge of like, yeah, I was born outside of the state. Um, but yeah, I went to school at Blackhawk in Moline, Illinois, at college, community college there, and then I went over to Southern Illinois, which is at the very uh, bottom of Illinois, near kind of like 2 hours away from Peoria, I would say, in that general area. But no, I normally I travel a lot. If I'm not in Illinois, I'm usually in Utah. I work at the Sundance Film Festival every year, and then every year in New Hampshire, I teach filmmaking at this summer camp to kids ages about 6 to 13 or 7 to 13, that general area, and that's pretty fun. Anything filmmaking or photography related that I can teach people, I think would be pretty cool, because a lot of people, I feel like, is intimidated by it. But yeah, Illinois, it's fun to be back in Illinois. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out what to do next. I'm very eager to get on to the next adventure, but with this whole COVID thing, I'm kind of at a standstill right now. I'm staying with a couple friends, and yeah, just chilling, just figuring out what's next.
It's funny because I might even have had a friend. It might have been before you were there, or her name was Mel, and she was like a female. She was a teacher at the film school, and I think it was the same one in New Hampshire, because it was like an arts camp that had like a focus on film photography and different styles of art. And I'm almost positive it was in New Hampshire. And like she would go and spend her whole summer there. She was like a teacher during the regular year, and then she would go to that art school. I'm almost positive it's the same thing you're thinking of.
Nice.
There's also the main media workshops up in Rockport, Maine, one state above New Hampshire, which kind of has a focus on both film and photography and writing, actually. So that's very cool, man. I guess my question then is, as an Illinois guy, granted you were born in South Dakota, but I think a lot of people like myself, I'm kind of an East Coast person. I really don't have much of a concept of what it would be like to live in Illinois, but can you fill in the gaps for kind of me and the rest of the audience? Like, I think a lot of people like that our country, for whatever reason, is so heavy emphasized on either the East Coast, the West Coast, and maybe Chicago as like a third city. But as far as like the heartland of Illinois, what's like life in your opinion, just in a broad sense, however you want to take that question?
Well, yeah, growing up, as a kid, I don't know, I didn't really find it any different until I got older and started realizing how cool other places are and how boring, the place I was at. But I lived in like a super, super small town, maybe like 500 people. And then I moved to a place called Aledo, which is this place. And it has about like 3,500 people here. So it's still small. Everyone knows each other, but it gives people thinking that they're doing bigger things coming from the other town I was, which was like 300. So you're like, yeah, now I'm in 3,000 people. It's a pretty big city. It's not really, but it was pretty boring actually. There was not a lot of things to do. I mean, it was boring for me because there's not a lot of artistic outlets around here. There's like cornfields everywhere. That just became a norm. It was just like seeing a tree. When I don't see cornfields, I'm like, oh dang, and traffic, always falling behind a tractor or someone carrying bales of hay and stuff. It was pretty pretty country, I guess, and so you got to get used to just waiting behind everybody. So yeah, I just would say like it's very slow. I would say the Midwest is very slow. I normally live about 3.5 hours away from Chicago, so I never really got any of that big city stuff until college and everything. But yeah, I would say it's like it's boring. It's very chill. I think the Midwest is a good place to either be alone. There's a lot of places you can just hang out by yourself and like big farmlands, open fields, just hang out there and grow old, or settle down here. I mean, there's a lot of people that normally move back here to settle down with families and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. It's pretty good. It's chill. Yeah.
Have you considered relocating at some point in your life, or you think you'll hang there for a while, or is that to be determined?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always definitely down to move everywhere. I worked at Disney World in Florida. Normally, right after it was my after community college, I went down there, hung out there for about a year. Worked in the Animal Kingdom park. That was pretty fun. So that kind of inspired me to like check out other places, and that's when I went to, you know, started working in Utah and the New Hampshire. But I'd really like to move abroad to check out that spot. Really anywhere. I think Sweden would be cool, or any places like Ireland, like a lot of green. I think that'd be pretty nice. But yeah, Illinois. I know I like coming here. It's kind of like the touchdown, a spot to touch down. I realized that nomad is probably an accurate term for what I am now. I don't really like traveling with a lot of stuff because I'm always moving around. But I got the storage unit of stuff I'm trying to get rid of now. I don't just my film stuff like cameras and all that, and just a place to live. So like an RV would be cool. So I can just keep traveling around because I definitely don't want to stay in Illinois. To come back to your question, no, not really. It's a nice place to come back to, but not stay.
Well, I can relate to a lot what you're saying because I looked into the RV living myself. I made a big move, Austin, from Rhode Island about less than a year ago to here where I'm at. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, and I was just at the Animal Kingdom in early March, like right before it closed because of
Nice.
COVID. So I did see the Animal Kingdom, and I saw you know, Disney, the OG Magic Kingdom, and so I can see that, you know, a lot of people, especially now with Florida being a hot spot for this COVID, I think a lot of people are going to be kind of negative on Florida for a while. But I got to tell you, man, I have enjoyed it for the most part since I've been here. You know what I mean? Like I just being able to be on Christmas Day and wear shorts and a T-shirt, I found refreshing. And just those New England winter weather is really tough. And I don't know, do you guys have a harsh winter in Illinois, or what's the winter deal like there? I'm just curious.
Oh man, winter is crazy, man, because uh, right, we're pretty close to Canada, and you know how the stereotype of Canada's winters. But it's cold. It gets super cold. Um, I uh, in terms of Game of Thrones, we'd be uh, the North. We'd be like bundled up all the time with the giant wall, and worried about winter coming because like when it gets here, it just takes forever. People forget how to drive. There's wrecks all the time, and it just feels like it lasts a little bit longer than last year. And then everyone's like, "Oh, I want summer," but then when summer comes, it's like it's super hot, and then they complain about that. So I'm normally like a fall guy. I want to get like fall in the Midwest is beautiful because we have all these like maple trees everywhere, and all the trees is just changing. And then we get that cool breeze, and then you can just like smell the air, and then you'll be like, you know, autumn's coming. And plus I was born in October, so I love that because of Halloween, and it feels nice, man. It's just like the spooky season, and it has people more excited to see things like I make, like the clowns and the quarantine and stuff, because I guess they normally think that oh, it's Halloween, you know, we can look at that stuff now, but I like to make crazy, you know, weird shit all the time. So
You probably would have fit in with the guys and the girls at Rhode Island School of Design. RISD is where I think the guy that created Family Guy, was that Seth MacFarlane?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
he went to college at RISD, and they used to have this club that I would go to called Fort Thunder, which was like this underground. It wasn't even RISD students; it was RISD dropouts who ran like this club. And a couple of guys had a band called Lightning Bolt that actually made some headway in the industrial kind of rock world. And it was a fun time, man. You would have enjoyed it.
Nice.
And they had like their own wrestling tournament. Like they set up a mat and like cushions and a cage, and these were like college girls were wrestling each other in this cage, like wearing outfits and stuff, and it was pretty nuts. So I could see you kind of enjoying the Providence scene at some point in your life.
Nice.
But I guess trying to wrap things up here, and maybe I don't know if the expression is buried the lead, but photography. How did your love of photography even start, or like was there someone that gave you a camera, or did you buy one on your own, or did you just start taking pictures with a phone, or how did you get into the photographic medium?
Yeah, my first camera was like a home recorder, like Panasonic. It was my mom's. She would always record videos and put it in our memory box for later. But I finally convinced her to give it to me, to give me the camera. So I started recording like really stupid videos with my friend Josh, and we liked it. We just aspect, doing, and then when high school came. Do you still hear me? Oh, you can?
Yeah, I'm still here, buddy.
Oh,
Keep going.
nice. Okay, yeah, connection lost, but yeah,
Yeah.
we used to make really stupid videos, and we liked the whole aspect of the storytelling and everything. Um, and then when I got to high school, really the only camera medium was Photoshop, with like the yearbook and all that. So I joined yearbook, and I got a taste of the camera, and then more of how to um, tell stories through just like one photograph and everything. And then, yeah, that kind of like brought me back to the whole camera medium. And then I went through community college, and I was kind of like, I had no idea what I wanted to do at all. And then I seen this guy who had a flyer for like, he was making a film and he needed extras. So I went there and I was like, hey man, like I don't know anything about like film or photography. I'll help you for free. Just kind of let me like look over your shoulder. He was like, all right, because he was kind of new with it a little bit too. But and so I started doing that a lot more, and then he kind of went a different direction, and I just loved it so much. So that's when I went down to SIU for film school, and shout out to HD Motel, because he's pretty cool. He's like a super cool professor, and he definitely introduced me to a lot of artists that I have no idea that were existed and stuff. But yeah, so like college is like kind of not really where I found my style, because I don't really want to say I got a style and everyone expects that, like, oh, why is this different from your other stuff? But I found a taste of what I like to make, which is like that surreal stuff. And then yeah, I don't know. It's just like when you meet college, it's definitely so much better than high school, because you find people that are paying to go there, and I feel like when you pay to do something, you really want to be there, so you don't have any of those like bullies or people, calling you a freak or whatever. And I wasn't really ever bothered by that, but it's cool because you can find a whole bunch of cool people that are not really into your style, but definitely help you expand it. So yeah, I don't know, to answer that question.
It's funny, Austin, because what you just said, um, it rang true for me, man. Because when I was in high school, I definitely did not feel a part of things, or even that I particularly wanted to be. But when I got to college, initially in North Carolina, I did feel like, man, this is great, and I just did feel like, socially at least, maybe not grade wise, but socially, I did do better for myself in college than in high school. So there's a clip, and what you're saying kind of resonates with the opening clip of the Avalonia Festival YouTube playlist, which is on the Mike Messier YouTube channel, which is a young lady named Grace Lewis who won an award at my last Avalonia Festival. She basically did a film about grade school bullying called Grace Redeems, and she had some really powerful words about bullying and the pressures that kids are under, even grade school kids. And I remember asking Grace at the time, like, wow, I can't believe that this is still going on after all these public service announcements and one to grow ons and all the wonderful things we've seen on Oprah about bullying, and if nothing else, just, hey, didn't we have like a couple of kids? And I mean, I don't want to warp the message, but some of these school shootings were supposedly based on bullying one way or the other. So hasn't there been in the last 15 or 10 years at least some type of, hey, let's put a cease to this bullying? And because if nothing else, we don't want these bullied kids coming after us with guns, you know, if nothing else for just survival, you know. But apparently these thoughts that would seem to make common sense just don't get acted upon quick enough, because year after year we see these either horrible, brutal bullying stories, or we hear about these school shootings. And I just feel sorry for kids these days, because I think a lot of times we throw the youth under a bus, like, all these stupid kids, they just want to be on their smartphones all day, and they just want to tweet about Kim Kardashian's latest butt job. But a lot of these kids are under pressures that we just don't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that, because high school, it was kind of crazy time for me. I don't know, like, I mean, a crazy time for everybody. But for me, yeah, definitely like the bullying, and I didn't really like deter from it after the bullying. It kind of made me want to do it even more. Because like, even without, being like the weird kid, I was already the weird kid, and I wasn't doing anything, so I was like, might as well give them something to stare at. And then I'd be like, yeah, I would like dye my hair crazy colors. I wore crazy contacts. Really whatever, like anything, like I wore costumes to school, different like Halloween costumes to school. Because like I just didn't really care like about what they thought, and I feel like that kind of helped me with my style, I guess I would say, because I know it's cool, it's weird, like anything weird. I don't know, like you go on your like 3 a.m. YouTube videos that you're like, oh, the deep YouTube, like what is this? Like those are the videos I love. They're crazy. It's just I feel they have a different feel for them. Like it's completely far away from the mainstream and the mass media. And then if you can like have people shocked or like laugh, like how you were talking about my photos, it kind of resonated a real emotion, and I like that. I'd rather have a real emotion of fear or disturbed than kind of like, oh, another photo of whatever. Insert this here.
Sure, another butterfly on the tree,
Yeah,
so to speak. Not that there's anything wrong with butterfly pictures, but after a while, and I think that's true, man. I mean, look, it's like they say in the pro wrestling world, or even the pop culture world, like cheer or boo, but just spell my name right. You know what I mean? Like it's just
for sure.
and it's true. I mean, not that I'm putting him on a pedestal, but look at our president. I mean, and maybe that's a bad example, but it's like he in my memory at least was the first president to get elected being a heel, being a bad guy. Like, he just had this attitude of ruthlessness, and I'm not saying that that's a good way to live, because I think there's a price to pay for that in one's own sanity or moral integrity. But as far as being an artist goes, you're not going to really get very far if you play it safe within. I used to have a thing about a poem that I wrote where there was a refrain of color inside the lines, where society is always going to demand that the artist color inside the lines. And hey, you can color. We'll let you color, kid, but make sure you color inside those lines. And God forbid you paint your sky green and your grass blue, then you're an anarchist, And these what typically happens, Austin, from my perspective, and I could be wrong, but what is radically viewed now, 10 or 15 years from now, is the normal. I mean, you take a look at these singers, the Dixie Chicks, or if they're just called the Chicks now. What was it, 2003? They made some statements against the president at the time, George Bush, the second George Bush, and they were vilified and crucified, and people were stomping on their CDs. And here we are 10 or 15 years later, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, they were right. but nobody's going to write them an apology, or nobody who stomped on their CDs at the time is going to go out and buy all their CDs and write Natalie Maines an apology letter. You know what I mean? So to judge yourself by the general public is a surefire way to lower yourself to mediocrity, in my opinion.
Right. No, I completely agree. It kind of reminds me of something I wrote too in one of my books. It's in Life's Abyss was the first book I wrote, and it's like it's weird until it's famous, and then it's just overrated because like everyone's afraid of it, and then people see the profit, I guess, in the weird, and then they go with it, and everyone's just like, because I remember when like the Insane Clown Posse first came out, everyone was like, they're Satan, they're this, and then they've been out for so long, everyone uses them as a joke now. They're always like the butt end of the joke and like the punchline for everything. And that kind of what goes with what you were saying, man, because it's like they were doing something. And then that's what got everyone's attention. And they made it from themselves, doing like their own thing, not following society's guidelines with coloring in the lines and stuff, because you can't do that. You can, and it'll be a boring life, but it does suck because everyone says they don't care what people think, but they really do. Even like you can try so hard and work your whole life of not thinking that, and you can finally get there, but then you just spent like your whole life trying to do something for them and not yourself. Yeah.
It's funny, man. I'll never have this chance to tell this story again. So since you brought up the Insane Clown Posse, which they wrestled themselves, by the way, the WWF and WCW, and I think maybe ECW, but was it Shaggy, Too Dope, and Nate or something? The Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah, Violent J and Shaggy Too Dope, yeah.
Okay, so a friend of mine, a guy named Nick Principe, who's actually kind of well known to horror film fans, is like, he plays one of the monsters in like a horror film series. Like he puts the monster suit on. I forget which one. But basically, Nick got onto like a Twitter conflict with Insane Clown Posse, and like the ICP posse came after him hard, and like there was like a lot of back and forth, and I'm not sure how it started, but Nick, as a peace offering, got the Insane Clown Posse logo tattooed on his butt cheek as a peace offering, which I thought was insane, so to speak. Like, why these guys like, like that's Nick Principe. So as you said, a shout out to such and such. But I think my other buddy JDP, John Del Ponte, gave Nick like the tattoo. Like he just, hey buddy. I mean, can you imagine asking a grown man for that favor? Like I've had a Twitter war with the Insane Clown Posse fan club, and in order to bridge this over, I need to tattoo their logo on my ass. But that's what he did. So
that is crazy. No, I love that you told that story, man. That's awesome, dude.
That's the only time I have to tell that story, man. So just my friends in Rhode Island, Tommy Danucci and David Gear in Connecticut might or may not enjoy that I told that story. But well, Austin, I
makes it a good story, man. That's what makes it a good story.
that was the payoff, man. I mean, I think I actually saw the tattoo as well, and
you gotta see it, man.
I mean, once you hear the story, you got to see the. But I was kind of like, I didn't quite understand the logic, because like if you were Twitter beefing with these guys, with their fans, and I don't even know if he got their attention or not. Maybe he did, but to get the tattoo of your opponent on your ass, I don't know if that meant they were supposed to kiss his ass or that's. But I mean, I think they kind of won, to tell you the truth, because
yeah,
they didn't go out and get Nick Principe tattoos on their ass. So. But anyway, man, it's just been a good interview. I guess I did want to talk to you because you were one of the first people to enter, and your art, your photography was really striking to me as like, this is kind of like an original voice, and I kind of want to encourage others to not only enter the festival, but once the festival starts, and we've got a long ways to go with the judging, and I I do want to thank you, and I do have a judge for this festival, and this just goes to show you, man, that there are people who will reach out, because this gentleman, uh, Kazuya Ashikawa, or I'm sorry, Kazuya Ajizawa, he reached out to me. He wanted to be a judge for my film festival,
Nice.
and then I started the photography festival shortly thereafter. Um, but he enjoys being a judge because he says that it helps him as a filmmaker. And then when I brought up the idea of doing a photography festival, he said that photography was his first love too. So, and for me, I took photography in high school. I wasn't the greatest photographer in the world, but I enjoyed it. And it was something that I always wanted to kind of reconnect with at some point. So I'm hoping that other people check out APC, Avalonia Photography Competition. If they go to Film Freeway, we're pretty easy to find. And it's filmfreeway.com/APC. I wanted that URL to be easier than writing out Avalonia Photography Competition. I guess did you know what the Avalonia word came from, Austin? Did that?
No, I don't think so. It sounds familiar though. As soon as you tell me, I'll probably either act like I know or so it does sound familiar though.
Well, what it was before either one of us were born, like 5,000 years ago, there was a continent of land that was connected to Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, which basically broke off the eastern shore border of the United States, the Northeast, and that chunk of land was called Avalonia, and it drifted, into the sea, never to be seen again. And so my concept of Avalonia was kind of developed in the story Distance from Avalon, which I've written as a stage play, a screenplay, and a novella. And the basic idea is like, were this land to exist in kind of a mystical place, the artwork that you've presented and the other people have presented, both in the film competition, the photography, and the theater festivals, this would be the artwork of that, kind of surreal, otherworldly place. That's a basic idea. So, I mean, it kind of is a guideline or a parameter, but with very little parameters. You know what I mean? Like Avalonia could really be anything you want it to be, but at the same time, it's kind of grounded in a concept from somewhere. That's all.
Nice. No, I didn't hear about that. I never heard that story, man. That's cool though. I like the concept and how you took it, and then what you're doing with it, man. That's pretty cool.
Thanks, buddy.
Nice.
Thanks. So I encourage people to check out Austin's work. I want to put some of the photographs on the website. Austin hasn't won the competition yet because like I said, I have like 50 categories. So there's a lot of categories for people to enter. We encourage people to enter as soon as possible because, like Austin, the earlier you enter, the lower the entry fees. The entry fees literally started like $2 or $3 per person. There's a student discount, and even if people just go to the Film Freeway page, there's like a discount right there. So, hey, man, I want to thank you for your time and for your art and for your conversation. And I wish you and your family and friends out there in Illinois the best with this COVID stuff, and just stay safe and keep making art, man.
Thanks, man. No, you're so cool, dude. I appreciate it, man. You're a really rad dude to talk to, man. I appreciate the conversation too.
Well, bro, check it anytime. And what's next for you? What's the next thing on your horizon? Have you got any plans, or are you trying to take it day by day?
Well, I finally think I'm gonna get my laptop soon. I ordered it like in March, and I got it from this Australia guy. It's a gaming laptop, but for what I want to do with it, like 3D modeling, I think it's would be pretty good specs. But it's been overseas for so long, and it's just now in United States. So hopefully next week I can use it and finally be able to start doing cool things like Blender. I've been trying to do a lot of cool stuff on this what software called Blender. It's like 3D design and animation. But yeah, right now I don't know. Probably this weekend I got a photo shoot I'm doing with a couple friends. Hopefully I can get some cool ideas out there. And if not, you gotta practice because they say, what is it? 10,000 hours or 100,000, 10,000 hours in order to become a professional. So
Well,
gotta get those hours in.
Man, I'll jump on that too. I thought you were going to say practice makes perfect, but you went to that. Who's the writer with the crazy hair? Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell, and I think he was the one that came up with that 10,000 hours of practice makes someone. And he referenced the Beatles and he referenced other people. But I have one little thing on Malcolm, man, that another shot that I want to take in the world. Malcolm, in one of his books, it could have been Outliers, it could have been one of the other ones, was talking about the scandal with Paul Rubens, who got arrested at a movie theater. And but the way that he wrote it, it wasn't judgmental from what I remember. It was just kind of like, I think what he was writing about was the way that pop culture turns on its idols. And like you can go from like a great person 1 minute to a lousy person the next. And what he said was in his book, the actor Pee Wee Herman ... And I said, wait a minute, time out. There's something wrong here. Pee Wee Herman is not an actor. Pee Wee Herman is a character that an actor named Paul Rubens portrays. And he might go out in public sometimes with the guise of Pee Wee Herman as like a performance art thing. But at the end of the day, everybody knows this guy is Paul Rubens. The actor Paul Rubens plays the character Pee Wee Herman, who was on a TV show and did some movies. But Paul Rubens is the guy that got arrested. You know what I mean? And Paul Rubens is the actor. It's not Pee Wee Herman. He never legally changed his name to Pee Wee Herman. So, of course, I got all excited because I found like this guy who had written 1 million books and, sold 1 million copies and made $1 million from his books. And everybody was telling me how great and smart he was. I found like an error in his book. So I took great pride in sending an email to his website, and they never responded. So if I ever get Malcolm Gladwell on the Skype, man, I'm going to say, I nailed you, and you did not answer my email to your website that I'm sure you never saw about the mistake that you don't care about because you still made $1 million from your book. But anyway, that's my Malcolm Gladwell story.
Yeah, they're probably like block, like.
Yeah.
No, that's crazy, man. That is cool to be, because you're sitting there, you're thinking like you hold them to a certain standard that it has to be perfect. So you kind of second get. You're like, is it wrong? Like, am I just not smart enough to understand that it's not, that it is right? But no, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorite actors, man. He was in Blow. I thought he was really good in that movie.
Yeah, Paul Rubens. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, he's awesome, man.
Yeah. Well, like you said, that 10,000 hours thing, I think that came from Malcolm Gladwell, and he's a good writer though, man. So, well, bro, I appreciate you being here, man, and I encourage you to do in your life what will make you happy. And I'm glad that Avalonia Photography Competition is a small part of that. And if you're still making films as well, Austin, make sure that you check out our Avalonia Festival, short films, etc. Because we still have that accepting submissions as well. So that's a festival for short films, 21 minutes and under. And like I said, if people just get over to the Film Freeway page, that's usually the biggest obstacle, is like people who've never entered a film festival or a photography competition before, if they would just put their little finger on their mouse or their keypad or whatever and just check out the website and see that these are low entry fees. It's not that complicated. It takes maybe 5 minutes to upload your stuff and enter. And who knows, you may win a prize, or you may win an award at least, and be part of this thing. So, but thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you being here. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Austin. And thanks, everybody, for watching this interview with Austin Sane from Illinois as we continue the Avalonia Photography Competition, like Messier.